In the year 1837, in the heart of Georgia, a baby was born who would make science question everything it knew. They said she could heal with her hands, and that when she cried, the wind would rise. But before the world called her a miracle, she was a secret, a child of two souls who were never meant to meet. This is where her story begins. Under the willow tree, where love defied every law of man, and something impossible was set in motion. Before we step back into that time, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because over the next few episodes, we're uncovering the full mystery of the girl science could never explain. And while you're here, tell me in the comments, do you believe in forbidden love that changes destiny? Georgia, 1837. The Whitfield plantation stretched for miles, rows of cotton shining under the sun like white waves. Inside the big house lived Clara Whitfield, the only daughter of the plantation owner. She was raised among luxury, silk gowns, piano lessons, and Sunday dinners that could feed 10 families. But unlike most, Clara saw the truth behind the walls. She saw the people who worked the fields from dawn till dusk. She saw the pain hidden behind the songs. Among them was Samuel, a young slave, known for his calm strength and quiet wisdom. He never raised his voice, but when he spoke, even the overseer listened. One evening, Clara found him by the old willow tree near the edge of the field, fixing a broken fence. He looked up, surprised to see her. She smiled nervously. "My father says this tree's been here longer than the town," she said. Samuel nodded. "It's seen things most folks wouldn't believe." That was the first conversation, and the start of everything. Nights turned into weeks. Clara kept finding excuses to walk near the fields. They talked about everything, books, dreams, the stars. Samuel told her stories his mother whispered to him, tales from Africa about children born with light inside them, light that can heal, he said. "But people fear what they don't understand." Clara listened, her heart beating faster each time. Soon they began to meet after sundown, under that same willow, where no one could see them, except the fireflies. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. One night, the overseer saw a lantern flicker near the tree. He followed the light, and what he saw made his blood run cold. The planter's daughter and a slave, standing too close, whispering like lovers. By morning, the entire house buzzed with suspicion. Clara's father demanded answers. She denied it, trembling, but the fear in her eyes told the truth. And that night, she packed her belongings and hid near the stables, heart pounding, tears running down her face, because she had just discovered something else, something even more dangerous. She was pregnant. The sky broke open with thunder that night, like the heavens themselves were shouting. Clara ran through the rain to find Samuel. She found him under the willow, waiting. "I can't stay here," she whispered. He held her trembling hands. "Then we run. I'll protect you, both of you." Lightning split the sky behind them, and for a moment, the old willow glowed white as bone. That's the night their story changed forever, and the night something unexplainable began to stir. What would you have done if you were Clara? Stay and hide, or run for love? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. When the storm hit Georgia that night, people swore they heard more than thunder. They said they heard crying, not from the sky, but from the ground. And by morning, word spread across the county. The planter's daughter had vanished, and a strange light was seen near the old willow tree. What no one knew was that beneath that very tree, a child was being born, a child the world would never understand. Before we uncover what really happened that night, hit subscribe and ring the bell, because the next chapters of this story will make you question what's real and what isn't. And tell me in the comments, do you believe some people are born different for a reason? Clara and Samuel had fled the plantation in the middle of the storm. They found shelter in a small, abandoned cabin deep in the woods, a place Samuel used when he hunted for food. Days passed. The storm quieted, but Clara's pain only grew stronger. "It's too early," she whispered, clutching her stomach. Something's wrong. Samuel held her close. No, he said. Something's happening. Because every night, the same thing occurred. A faint light glowing from Clara's belly, as if a candle burned softly beneath her skin. The animals around the cabin behaved strangely. The crows that usually screamed from the trees fell silent. A deer walked right up to the cabin door and stood there, unafraid. Even the air felt thick, alive. And when Samuel touched Clara's stomach, he could feel the baby move toward his hand, as if it recognized him. She knows you, Clara whispered. How do you know it's a she? Because I can feel her heart, Clara said. And it beats like mine. On the 7th night, the moon turned blood red. Clara's screams echoed through the woods. Samuel rushed to boil water, his hands shaking. But before the child was born, something happened that neither of them could explain. They both heard it, a baby crying inside Clara's womb. The cry was clear, sharp, real, and every time the child cried, the lamps flickered brighter. When the baby finally came into the world, the storm returned, as if the heavens themselves were watching. A single lightning bolt struck the willow outside, splitting it in two. And in that flash of light, she appeared, their daughter. Samuel gasped. The baby's skin shimmered faintly, not glowing like fire, but like light trapped under water. Her eyes opened immediately. Not the soft brown of her mother's or the dark warmth of her father's, but grey like thunderclouds. She didn't cry, she just stared, calm and alert, as if she already understood. When Clara touched her, the pain in her body vanished, the cuts on her hands from running through the woods, gone. The child had healed her. Samuel, Clara whispered. She's not like us. He looked at her and said, No, Clara, she's exactly what we prayed for. The next morning, Samuel rode into town to find a doctor. When the man arrived, he examined the baby, but within minutes, his hands began to tremble. This isn't possible, he whispered. Her heartbeat. It's too strong, too steady. Then, as he leaned closer, the oil lamp beside them flared and shattered. The doctor stumbled back, pale as chalk. That's no child, he said. That's a sign. And I won't stay another second. He left, slamming the door, shouting that he'd seen the mark of heaven. Or hell. Clara held the baby close as the rain began to fall again outside. She needs a name, she said softly. Samuel smiled through tears. Then call her what she is, something pure. Clara looked down at her daughter's glowing skin and whispered, Eden. And from that day forward, they promised, no matter what the world said, Eden would be protected. What do you think Eden really was? A miracle? A curse? Or something science just couldn't explain? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading your theories. By the time Eden turned 5, strange things had already started happening. The grass where she played stayed green, even in the middle of drought. Sick animals found their way to her porch and walked away healthy, but the same gift that made her special also made her dangerous, because in 1842 Georgia, a child like Eden wasn't seen as a miracle. She was seen as something to be feared. Before we dive deeper into the mystery of Eden, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell, because in the next parts, the line between miracle and madness is about to blur. And tell me in the comments, do you think people fear what they don't understand, or do they destroy it? After her birth, Clara and Samuel stayed hidden in the forest for years. They built a small home by a creek, no servants, no neighbors, just the 3 of them. Eden grew fast. By 3, she could speak in full sentences. By 4, she could sing songs in languages her parents didn't know. Clara used to say, she doesn't learn, she remembers. At night, Samuel would tell her old stories about freedom, faith, and fireflies. Eden would listen, her grey eyes glowing faintly in the firelight. One morning, Samuel came home from chopping wood with a deep cut on his arm. Clara gasped and ran to get bandages. But before she could, little Eden walked up quietly. She placed her tiny hand over the wound. Within seconds, the bleeding stopped. The skin knitted together, smooth and pale, as if the cut had never existed. Samuel dropped to his knees, tears in his eyes. "Lord above," he whispered. "What are you?" Eden only smiled and said, "I just wanted Daddy not to hurt anymore." For years, they kept her gift secret. But secrets never stay buried. One day, a farmer's wife stumbled upon their cabin. Weak and coughing from fever, Clara let her rest by the fire. When Eden touched her forehead, the woman's eyes fluttered open, the fever gone. The woman left at dawn, whispering prayers all the way home, and within a week, the rumors began. A child in the woods who heals with her hands, a slave's daughter who walks with light. Some called her a blessing, others a curse. A month later, a man came to the cabin, Reverend Hale, from the nearby parish. He claimed he only wanted to see the child. Clara hesitated, but Samuel let him in. The Reverend knelt before Eden, studying her face. "Do you know who made you, child?" he asked. "The same one who made you," she answered softly. His smile faded. "And do you know what happens to those who play God?" Eden looked at him, unblinking. "Does God play with them first?" The Reverend stood quickly. "She's not of this world," he hissed. "That light and it's unholy." He stormed out, warning that no good would come from hiding such a thing. Within days, people started coming, sick, blind, desperate. They brought their children, their parents, even animals. Eden healed them all. One by one, some knelt and kissed her feet. Others crossed themselves and fled. But with every healing, the air grew heavier, like a storm waiting to break. And then, one night, someone nailed a note to their door. Just one word, written in ash: "Witch." Clara begged Samuel to leave the woods. "They'll come for her," she cried. But Samuel shook his head. "If she was sent here, she was sent for a reason." "We can't keep running." Eden stood at the doorway, her eyes glowing faintly. "Mama," she whispered, "don't be afraid. The light won't let them hurt us." What do you think Eden's gift really was? Divine power, or something science could never measure? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. They came for her on a moonless night, dozens of men with torches, their faces hidden beneath hatred and fear. The word witch echoed through the woods like a curse. Inside the cabin, a little girl with grey eyes looked up from her mother's arms and whispered, "Mama, it's time." That was the night Georgia burned, and a secret too strange for science vanished into smoke. Before we relive the night that changed everything, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because in the final chapter we'll uncover what became of Eden and why her story still haunts Georgia to this day. And tell me in the comments, if the world turned against someone you loved, would you hide or fight back? For days the woods had been quiet, too quiet. Even the birds had stopped singing. Clara felt it, a heaviness in the air, like the silence before lightning. Samuel sat sharpening his knife by the fire, his eyes distant. "They know where we are," he said. "It's only a matter of time." Clara pulled Eden close. The little girl's grey eyes flickered softly in the dim light. "I dreamed of fire," she whispered. "But don't be afraid. It doesn't hurt." Down in town, the rumors had turned into fury. The preacher, Reverend Hale, told his congregation that the child was a demon in the flesh. "No one," he shouted from the pulpit, "should possess power over life and death." Fear became fuel. Men grabbed torches, women wept, and before midnight, a mob marched toward the forest, their only goal, to purify what they didn't understand. The flames of their torches glowed like angry stars in the darkness. The sound of dogs broke the silence first. Then came the shouts. Samuel rushed to the door and saw the glow of fire moving between the trees. "Clara, take her!" he shouted. "Run!" Clara grabbed Eden's hand, but Eden didn't move. "If we run, they'll find us," she said softly. "Let the light stay." The first torch hit the side of the cabin. Flames crawled up the wood. Men shouted curses and glass shattered. Samuel charged outside, swinging a shovel, fighting to keep them back. He yelled, "She's just a child!" But they didn't listen. One man lifted a gun, and the world exploded in sound. Inside the burning cabin, Clara screamed. Eden stood still, eyes wide, tears glowing like silver in the firelight. "Mama," she whispered. "It's time to go home." The air began to hum, a low, vibrating sound that shook the ground. The flames that should have devoured them suddenly bent backward, swirling like water in reverse. Outside, the mob froze as the fire lifted off the ground, forming a spiral of light above the cabin. For one brief moment, the night turned brighter than day, and then silence. The fire vanished. The cabin was gone. So were Clara and Eden. When the mob crept forward, all they found was Samuel, lying in the ashes, barely breathing. They dragged him back to town, demanding answers. "Where are they?" the preacher shouted. Samuel smiled weakly through the smoke and blood. "She's not gone," he whispered. "She's gone back." "Back where?" He looked up at the dark sky, to where the light belongs. The mob buried the ashes, but the fire never truly died. Weeks later, people claimed they saw a little girl walking among the burned trees, glowing faintly, humming softly, her footsteps leaving no mark. Cattle that strayed near the woods grew healthy overnight, and every year, on the night of that fire, lightning struck the same spot beneath the old willow. Locals said it was God's reminder that not every miracle comes gentle. Do you think Eden really disappeared? Or did she become something else entirely? Drop your theories below. I love reading what you think happens next. Years after the fire, soldiers marching through Georgia during the Civil War began telling the same story. They spoke of a little girl who walked barefoot through the smoke, her eyes glowing silver, her touch warm as sunlight. When men were wounded, she healed them. When they were lost, she led them through the fog, and every time they tried to follow her, she vanished near the ruins of an old willow tree. Locals gave her a name, the girl that science cannot explain. Before we uncover the final truth about Eden, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell, because the mysteries we're diving into next will blur the line between legend and reality. Do you believe that some stories live on because they're true, or because we need them to be? After that night of fire, no one ever saw Clara or Eden again. Samuel was found half alive and taken away in chains, accused of witchcraft and arson. But before he died, he told one final story, one that would pass from whispers to legend. He said that on the night of the fire, as the cabin burned, he saw the flames rise like wings behind his daughter, and that Clara was holding her hand as they stepped into the light. They weren't taken, he said. They were called home. 20 years later, during the war, Union soldiers passed through those same woods. It was a foggy night, and a group of men were lost, hungry, cold, and bleeding. That's when they saw her, a young girl in a white dress, barefoot, glowing faintly. "She told us to follow," one soldier said. "We thought she was an angel." She led them through the fog, straight to safety. When they turned to thank her, she was gone. All that remained was a faint scent of wildflowers and a single white feather on the ground. In 1891, a professor from Boston named Dr. Elias Crane came to Georgia after reading the accounts of the glowing girl. He was a man of science, logic, not faith, but even he couldn't explain what he found beneath the old willow. He uncovered fragments of glass melted into the earth, but there were no burn marks around them, and at the center of it all, a single handprint pressed into the soil. Still warm, he wrote in his journal, "If energy cannot be created or destroyed, then perhaps what we call miracle is only the universe remembering its own power." Over time, the story of Eden faded from the headlines and became folklore. Parents warned their children not to wander near the willow at night. Lovers carved hearts into its bark, calling it the tree of the forbidden love. And sometimes, on warm summer evenings, people swore they saw a woman in white, standing by the creek, her hand resting on the shoulder of a little girl whose eyes shimmered like silver rain, watching, waiting, protecting. Over time, the story of Eden faded from the headlines and became folklore. Parents warned their children not to wander near the willow at night. Lovers carved hearts into its bark, calling it the tree of the forbidden love. And sometimes, on warm summer evenings, people swore they saw a woman in white, standing by the creek, her hand resting on the shoulder of a little girl whose eyes shimmered like silver rain, watching, waiting, protecting. Even now, more than a century later, strange things still happen on that land. GPS devices fail, cameras flicker, and every few years someone claims to see the same thing, a soft light moving through the trees, pausing for just a moment before fading away. Scientists test the soil, the air, even magnetic fields, but nothing explains it. Some call it a ghost, others a miracle. But maybe it's something simpler, love refusing to die. The locals say the willow still grows. Stronger each year, they say it glows faintly when the moon is full, and if you stand beneath it and whisper a secret, you'll hear a voice whisper back, "Don't be afraid. The light won't let them hurt you." That's when people realize the story of Eden never ended. It just became part of the land. So tell me, what do you believe? Was Eden a miracle of God, a mystery of science, or something in between? Drop your theories in the comments. The best ones might be featured in the next story. And if you've followed this journey from the beginning, thank you for being part of it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because new mysteries, new legends, and new chills are coming soon. Until then, remember, some stories aren't meant to be explained, only believed.